What will her life be like when she's grown? Will she be married? Will she have children? Will she work? Most likely, she'll do all these things sometime in her life. 9 out of 10 female students will be employed someday. Many will spend 25 years in the work world, even if they're married and have children. %48 of all women work outside the home today. These young people will soon be part of the labor force. They've chosen to attend vocational technical schools as part of their high school curricula. Some may devote their lives to their work, but most will choose a career along with marriage and a family. They're as different from one another as the career choices they've made for themselves. And from the vast number of vocational offerings, each made her special choice that spells out a good future for her.
These are some pamphlets from the Votech School that you may take home and look over. Maybe it will help you in making your decision. Also, here are some leaflets. Machinists, welding.
Well, my first feeling was, I thought, well, she'd get into a trade that's all men, and it's very rough to get into that. And then, well, let's go down. If the thing I didn't think she could do would be lifting all them heavy tools up, because some of them are pretty heavy in there.
Cosmetology, electrical construction and maintenance, carpentry.
I was concerned about the boys that would be in her class at Votech because of boys using rougher language than Doreen hears at home.
Auto mechanics.
What I do see, though, is a growing trend for Votech to really want to help, to really want to develop programs. When I first came here about 4 years ago, it's very difficult, almost impossible for any of our children to go to Votech and get into anything.
Appliance repair, electrical construction and maintenance.
My concern was I was wondering how it would interfere with her getting into college, if it would count towards enough of credits for her to go to college.
It's pretty rough. That's what my fear was when I first started, and then now I begin to like it because she likes it.
First, I'm going to see if I can make it as a master plumber first. And then after that, I want to go travel. Then maybe I'll get married after that, I guess.
We've already constructed the gas line supply pipe to the thermostat.
My father, he was sort of against it because he wanted me to take something more easy, more ladylike, you could say, more of a woman's type of job.
Okay, it's necessary then on the hot water heater to install a union, a 3-part ground seat union, so that you're able to hook the heater up, being a stationary point, to the existing gas pipe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of proud of her. Because I figured, well, this way she's not going to have to worry about everybody waiting, everybody do this for me, do that for me. She can do it herself and not worry about having the hassle of getting it done.
Sometimes you get discouraged, especially when you're a new girl, and you think, oh, I'm just going to quit, and I'm just going to do something easy. Then you start thinking about money, And then, you know, all the things that come with it just sound so good, you stick with it.
She has to stick it out. That's the main thing. She can't let nobody back her down or push her off or determine not. But if she's determined to go, she'll make it. That's all everybody in life is. You have to be determined to do what you want to do.
Well, I figured that anything that you like to do, that you should have that as a job. You can only weigh 110 pounds, and a lot of people tried to discourage me in taking radio and TV repair because of my weight. The equipment here has rollers on it, so you don't have to do any lifting of heavy equipment.
I don't think you really need all that much physical strength as much as, you know, mental strength, just concentration. I like to see things. I like to produce things. I like to see them, like, change form, you know, and, like, become something. It's real gratifying when you make something and then you see it being used somewhere.
Yeah, you get dirty, but that you can clean it off. It doesn't matter, you know, it's not a big thing. And in terms of not being feminine, I don't see why it's not. I don't see why, you know, it's either male work or female work. You know, you use a brain to do it, you know, you use your hands and you do the work.
15 or 20 years ago, vocational offerings or vocational education was taking place in the so-called basements or cellars of comprehensive high schools or of buildings or in industry settings. And you basically saw your auto mechanics or machinist type courses, and they were very much male dominated. In recent years, in the last 5 or 6 years, we've had an increase in the number of women in vocational education, the number of female students that we have taking the course offerings. We've been able to place 72% of our students, and in addition to that, we have several others that are going on to college training.
Hopefully I'll be some type of engineer. I'm really not sure yet. And hopefully I'll be independent. I want to be independent, and whether I'm married or not, I don't know. I don't plan on getting married for another 5, 6 years.
I'm sure she will get married. She loves the family, you know, when we get together. But as far as her career, that's topmost in her mind right now.
I feel that Doreen has good judgment and has used good judgment in her decisions, and I wouldn't hesitate to support her in whatever judgment she should make, within reason. Okay?
She always wanted to build things, do things around the house with the hammer and nails and whatever. And when she got old enough, about 5 years old, we got her a tool chest. And she'd go back in the woods and just spend hours back there.
We went out and we built tree houses all the time, you know, and I like to, you know, say, oh, let's put a wall here and a wall here, you know, and put a door here, you know. I like to say what went where and build them because I love working with my hands. I like it because I like math, and I like to apply the math to the surveying. You turn angles, and you have to calculate how many the angles you turn, and you have to take degrees and minutes and calculate the degree of error. It depends on the temperature outside. You have your wind factor and your temperature factor and all this to work into it.
We have a number of our students who are enrolled in pre-engineering courses in our technology program. We also have them going on to art institutes or the Culinary Institute for additional training, so that it is possible for our students to take a vocational offering as well as enroll in a college program back at their home high school.
I am engaged, and I do plan to be married, but I do want to continue my art, and I want to get
further training in this art field. Probably open up a business or something like that. I had muscular dystrophy since I was 7, and it hasn't gotten worse, but it hasn't gotten really better either. So when I'm here at this school, they've helped me a lot, you know, to get up and downstairs. So that was kind of difficult, but they gave me a key to the elevator. Then here in class, I was given a special desk to work out.
My main interest in sending Lori to Votech was in the fact that I thought it was a very good place for her to learn a trade. Lori's enrolled, she's in food services and has been for the last year. She really loves it. You know, she's in baking and in working at the lunch room or cafeteria that they have there, taking orders, busing, all of those things she's learned there at Votech.
Frontal.
Paredo. ¿El hueso de atrás?
Accipitalis.
Ok, ¿estos huesos de aquí?
Clavícula.
¿El hueso de enfrente?
Sternum.
¿Y aguanta qué?
Los costillas.
Las costillas.
There is a large rise of Spanish-speaking people coming to the United States. These girls will work as interpreters in different hospitals or various facilities related to the health field. I would say nursing is helpful at home and as a job, because you could always go back to it after you raise your family. It's not like you lose your occupation.
¿Cuántos huesos son? ¿Cuántos pares?
12.
In about 2 years I will be married, but I still plan to continue in this course, you know. And even if I don't plan on working full-time, we're going to be building our own home, so this will really come in handy. We have learned in here also, like, the good quality stuff. And if I'm doing it myself, I know that it's going to be done right, you know.
Girls do come here because they're very curious, but they end up staying and going back and telling their friends that there's a little bit more than curiosity involved. It's very interesting. They do locate some jobs.
My mom was a Girl Scout leader, and when I was little, I hung around with the Girl Scout group and stuff, and we were always outside, so I wanted to learn more about being outside. And my parents were happy about this because my dad was in logging.
We have no problems placing our female Votech students when they complete training programs. Our biggest problem seems to be getting females or women interested in coming into non-traditional type training programs. We have a large employer demand in areas such as machine operation, metal fabrication and assembly, air conditioning and refrigeration, graphic arts, printing, welding. And if we could get the females interested in coming into school, there's a large demand in the job market.
We found out that the vocational schools have turned out the best students, and we are going to put emphasis on trying to get the students from there. They seem like they have a better background, and they also have the interest. Well, basically right now, we have one refrigeration technician on the road. We also have a washer and dryer technician on the road who does hookups. We have 3 females in our mechanical shop who are doing various jobs.
One time we went into this house and there was this woman, she was about 70, and she was really surprised to see me, and she said that she wished she could have been born a little later because all her life she was mechanically inclined. She'd fix things around the house, and she said she's glad that, you know, women are doing it now because, you know, they never really had a chance before.
Ready? Yeah.
When you get into customer relations, you have a company car. If you work for a good company like I do, you usually have a lot of good benefits. Traveling is one of the big things that I enjoy because I'm the kind of person that really doesn't like to stay in an office 8 hours a day. I made the decision to go into a voc tech school, a certain trade. Okay, so I went into graphic arts, and I think I really made a good choice because I don't think people really realize all the openings and things that there are for women out there. I really sort of fell into it myself because now I know that there's a lot of different positions and everything open, especially for women. Now after you press reset data, we're going to put this job disc in, which is the actual job disc that we'll be recording. When I went to a vocational school, I received all that background and everything that I needed to talk over with my customers with. Even in a sales situation, you really have to know what you're talking about before you can even attempt to go in and talk with the person. I don't think about it the night before. I don't think that I have to go to a real hard job the next day. It's just something natural that I do.
Wow, that ended almost perfectly at 1 o'clock. That's great. Hey, I'm Skip Alsheimer. Welcome to my lunchtime screening. My wife told me I need to look at the camera more and not look off camera so much. So I'm going to try hard to do that. I'm going to try to aim my eyes at the camera like I'm looking at you. Don't want to creep you out. So I collect old 16mm films and show them to folks like you who have been doing it for more than 20 years, maybe even closer to 25 years. Normally I have a film projector and I bring the films and we show them in galleries, museums, theaters, nightclubs, on a boat, at a skeet shooting range, places like that, on a moving school bus. But because of the pandemic, I have decided to do this from my basement and show the films to people like you via YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. I'm sure there's other things out there I should investigate, but I don't know. Anyways, that last film was called It's Her Future, and it's really kind of a plea in the 70s to get girls to consider to go to a trade school and to learn a trade. I think that is a valid thing nowadays. I think that a lot of people should learn trades versus going to college and getting just a basic degree, just because of how the job market is looking. And I even though I got a degree in design, and it was in computer science for a while, I think that if I had an electrician's degree or electronics, I don't know, my life would have been more interesting, more different. My level of AV geekness would be that much higher. Anyhow, I just want to say thank you to Tim and Calvin for your coffee donations. There's a place here you can actually buy me coffee, and that is a way to directly access my nervous system and make my brain come alive, because caffeine is my drug of choice and pretty much the only drug that I'm on. All right, this next film is an interesting film. It was made during the Cold War, and it is about how to use concrete in civil defense. It's called A Concrete Plan for Civil Defense. Enjoy.
Here is a concrete plan for civil defense. Think about it. This plan could include you, your business, or your equipment. In time of national emergency, water is one of our biggest allies in preventing disaster. Let's see what happens when a city loses its water supply. Vitally important in the hospitals. And it serves the home in many different ways. Fighting a fire would be almost impossible without water. If bombs should drop on your city, the water arteries very probably will be broken, rendering many of the normal peacetime firefighting facilities helpless. What good are these highly trained firemen without water? In this case, water sources can be utilized that are most often found in the outer perimeter of the city. Sources that include lakes, streams, suburban wells, or cisterns. These are your best emergency water sources of supply. When the water systems are disrupted, the problem will be how to get water from a source of supply to the points of vital need. What you really need is many vehicles capable of transporting water in larger quantities. And there is one such vehicle that would lend itself to this type of job. A transit mixed concrete truck. Just what the fireman ordered. Capable of transporting 1,000 gallons of water per trip. These concrete trucks are available in any city. They're always ready to move. Their drivers know the city. And when you dispatch several of these trucks loaded to capacity with water, you have a real water supply available. That could be a beautiful silhouette to a city at the mercy of fire. Concrete trucks are generally located in the fringe areas of the city, which is good insurance against destruction from a bomb blast. Another advantage is that many of the plants have their own water supply, a factor facilitating the emergency transportation of this water. A national alert should give each city several hours to prepare. In this time, the trucks could be loaded and ready to go. However, destruction of the city water mains could curtail the plant's water supply also. If auxiliary water pumps were available, then lakes, streams, wells, and gravel pits become endless sources of vitally needed water. We can't overemphasize the importance of the portable water pump as auxiliary equipment on your truck. With this pump, the source of water is only as far away as the nearest lake or stream. This pump can also be used to fight fires directly. In peacetime as well, these portable pumps might prove their worth in helping to combat fires of smaller origin. Notice how quickly this auxiliary pump was put into action. It's lightweight and gasoline powered. In just a few minutes, this truck will be filled and on its way. If an enemy were to bomb our cities, many different types of fires would start. For purposes of demonstration, let's consider a few of the more common, the kind you might be threatened with someday. A concrete truck in this case is supplying water to be used directly on a fire. Here, an automobile. Here's where the pump comes in handy again. Hoses quickly coupled, and you have an auxiliary fire truck in action. Many fires are best fought with foam. When foam mix is placed in the auxiliary tank of a truck, it can be pumped into the water, creating the foam needed to fight fires caused by such inflammable liquids as gasoline or oil. This driver also has a working knowledge of firefighting. Your drivers should have this training to be able to combat fires of different origin and to know the purpose of different extinguishers. This concrete truck has helped put out a fire with the direct application of water, then a fire best fought with foam. City fire trucks have the necessary equipment to fight extensive fires, providing they have water. The drafting pit method is often used. The idea is to improvise a reservoir when city hydrants are not available or working. By laying a large canvas over a ditch and then filling it with water, concrete trucks can supply the thousands of gallons of water needed to fight such large fires. This demonstration shows a truck supplying water for the drafting pit. Then the driver, using his working knowledge of firefighting to help bring the blaze under control. So you've seen the many different uses to which the concrete truck and driver can be put as a volunteer auxiliary firefighting unit. And there is still another important use. Concrete trucks are washed out at the end of each run and at the end of the day. So this brings up the possibility of using the trucks in another vital role. By additional cleaning and scrubbing, the trucks could haul all-important drinking water. Of course, the water should be chemically treated en route or at its destination before distribution as pure drinking water. Rural water supplies would provide the safest water for human consumption, as certain emergency conditions could mean contaminated city water. Once again, the auxiliary pump proves its worth. Civil defense agencies are preparing strategically located distribution points for food and water. To provide a supply of drinking water for the children, blister bags would be used. Concrete trucks would supply water to schools and to residential districts. If a city's water system failed, blister bags like this would suddenly make their appearance. Many companies may decide to increase the water capacity of their trucks. By constructing lids to cover the mouth of the drum, you would increase the capacity of each truck about 1,500 gallons. Portable emergency equipment is easily carried in the cab of the truck. An axe, making it possible to gain entry to burning buildings. Different types of fire extinguishers, especially those for electrical fires, such as this. A first aid kit, as here the driver applies his knowledge of first aid to save the life of a smoke victim. If you've pictured yourself, your employees, your business, or your equipment as having a place in this vital defense picture, then talk it over with your friends. Get together with your local civil defense leaders and military officials. Tell them of your plans to help. Explain the availability of your equipment, the location of your plant or plants. Determine the perimeter water supplies available, the highways and streets to be used during emergency conditions, the training your employees would need, the communication facilities that would alert your organization for the real thing. In this manner, you will be able to organize a civil defense unit vital to the needs of your community in time of national emergency. After you've talked this over with your employees, the next thing would be for them to register with your local civil defense organization. After this, classes can be organized, or perhaps are available now, to give the men the basic knowledge they'll want. If a driver is delivering water to the scene of a fire, his knowledge in the care of accident victims could save many lives. Classes in first aid, knowing how to treat for burns, shock, and other mishaps. Synonymous with this would be the demonstration of auxiliary equipment, including the pump. The concrete truck has already taken its place as an emergency vehicle and has already been used successfully to help fight forest and brush fires. Its value in peacetime alone would be immeasurable. From a pre-designated storage point, these men are loading portable emergency equipment. The alert system has already been established. Commercial radio stations, in cooperation with civilian and military communications, are maintaining a CONELRAD network for the dissemination of defense instructions to civil defense organizations and the population. You would receive an alert instruction or call for aid from local defense leaders. The information of supply and destination would be given to the dispatcher, who in turn would relay it to the driver. This driver, trained to handle the situation, is off on a vital mission. And so your company, with its fleet of concrete trucks, can play an important and much-needed role in America's civil defense effort.
Wow. Yeah. So I had an assistant who transferred that film, and I thought I knew what it was about based on the title, but I was totally wrong. Wow. To use concrete mixing trucks to transport water, and basically the concrete industry saying, "Hey, use this." I thought it was going to be like, use concrete as a way to keep radiation away and build, use more concrete. It's easy and blah, blah, blah. But anyways, wow, totally different direction with that. And a wonderful artifact of the Cold War. All right. So this next film is about an animal. And it's actually pretty soothing and awesome. This is Life Story of a Snail.
This is a freshwater snail. Snails are part of a large group of animals called mollusks. Mollusks are invertebrates. This means that they do not have a backbone like you do. Snails can be found almost everywhere in the world. They live in the oceans. They live in freshwater rivers, lakes and ponds, and they live on land. To photograph the life of the snail, we will use an aquarium as a pond. In an aquarium, it is easy to observe the habits and characteristics of snails. The most striking part of the animal's appearance is the spiral shape of its protective shell. Inside, the animal's body twists in the same spiral pattern of the shell. Some snail shells are both cone-like and spiraled. They are also of many sizes and colors. The shell has an opening through which the animal extends or pulls in its body. Here, the body is coming out of the shell. When fully extended, The body is partly outside and partly inside the shell. Outside is a large, flat, muscular foot on which the snail moves. At the front of the foot is a head, which has a brain, tentacles, eyes, and a mouth. The tentacles and foot are especially sensitive to touch. 2 to 3 inches per minute is about the fastest a large snail can move. Most snails move more slowly. Movement is caused by a wave-like rippling of the muscles on the underside of the foot. Here, another kind of snail moves along. A special gland in the snail's foot secretes a slimy track on which the animal glides. The track dries and can usually be seen after a snail has passed. Notice the wave-like forms in the dried track. On top of the foot and behind the shell is a hard plate-like form. When the snail withdraws into its shell, this part of the foot seals the opening like a door and protects the animal's soft body. Most snails are vegetarians and eat nothing but plants. Some are scavengers that eat dead and decaying material. Why would this make them useful in your aquarium? Living algae, or pond scum, found on nearly all underwater surfaces, are the main source of food for snails. When eating, the snail uses a file-like tongue called the radula. Hundreds of hard, sharp teeth on the surface of the radula tear the food into small bits. Here is the radula of a different kind of snail. These are marks left by the radula on the slimy surface of the glass after a snail has eaten. This radula has been removed from a snail so that you can see the ribbon of tiny teeth. Now let's look on the inside of the snail shell. Here you will find most of the body organs. The mouth, stomach, and intestines of the digestive system, the heart for circulation of the blood, the gills for breathing, and the anal and kidney outlets for the removal of waste products from the body. Land snails have a single lung instead of a gill for breathing. All of the body within the shell is enclosed in a sac-like covering of flesh called the mantle. The mantle also produces the shell. The shell grows only around the edge of the opening. This is the only place where the mantle is attached to the shell. A lime solution, secreted by the mantle, hardens and forms the new parts of the shell. Here are the lines that mark the rings of new shell growth. Up under the shell and just behind the head is a kind of pocket called the mantle cavity. Water, which flows into this pocket, brings oxygen to the gills and flushes away the waste products of digestion. Here you can see waste products being flushed from the mantle cavity. Most snails have both male and female reproductive organs. Therefore, each snail can produce eggs from which new snails can develop. Before reproduction can begin, however, two snails must make bodily contact and fertilize each other's eggs. The pond snail attaches its eggs to water plants, rocks, or other underwater surfaces. The eggs are deposited in a jelly-like mass. These are attached to the side of the aquarium. Each egg develops a snail. If it is warm, young snails will hatch in as little as 5 days. As soon as a snail hatches, it begins to feed. The snail grows rather rapidly. Soon the shell hardens and darkens like the adult. By eating algae and other plants, snails help to control the amount of plant life in their water community. Snails, likewise, are kept from becoming too numerous by being eaten by fish or other animals. Thus, no one organism becomes so abundant as to endanger the lives of any of the others. We call this the balance of nature. As cold weather approaches, the snail's body processes slow down and the animal prepares to hibernate. It crawls into a hole in the bottom of the pond, withdraws into its shell, and becomes inactive. During hibernation, the snail's heartbeat and breathing are carried on more slowly. There are over 80,000 kinds of snails. Land snails are common in tropical climates or in other moist areas. The slug is a close relative of the last snail you saw. It is also a land dweller. The greatest number and variety of snails live in the oceans. Slugs also dwell in the oceans. The oceans also contain a great many other relatives of the snail. How do each of the mollusks that follow differ from the snail? The oyster and the clam. The squid, which sometimes grows to 50 feet or more. And the octopus, with its long arm-like tentacles. Although all these animals differ widely in outward appearance from one another, and from the snail whose life story you have just seen, they are all mollusks, because their internal body plan is fundamentally the same.
Even though somebody pointed out that the editing pacing is fast, it's all these soft transitions from one to another to another. It's not these hard cuts. So it does feel like, for me, it's very meditative, and yeah, I like it. Plus the snail sex. When have you seen snail sex before? That's what we do here at AV Geeks. We show you things that you've never seen before. This next film is definitely something that you've probably seen something similar to. It's a film made for teenagers on etiquette and basically how to behave at a dance or how to behave when you go out to eat. I did this I showed this as part of a show that I did in Texas. We had a prom at this ballroom in Houston. It was in a predominantly African-American neighborhood, and it supposedly had this long history of amazing acts throughout the years. And so we had it, and we put on a prom in August. So everybody was wearing tuxes. I had white tux and tails, and I actually got a mullet haircut, and I had like a little, mustache, and so my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, we went and had prom, and so I showed this film as part of the prom experience. So Here's As Others See Us. Enjoy.
A filmy dress, corsage to match, a handsome swain, and a lovely lady. That's you as others see you at the junior prom. The lights are soft, the music sweet, and you are with your favorite person. Will you enjoy this special evening among your friends? Will you really have a good time? Or will you be a little uncertain about the right thing to do and the right time to do it? Nothing spoils a good time like uneasiness. It keeps you from looking your best and doing your best. Lucky are the young people who know their manners, for they have captured the knack of seeing themselves as others see them, and they have gained confidence and poise thereby. Now, by manners, we do not mean affectation. Good manners are really very simple. They come from knowing and following a set of simple rules which help you enjoy yourself with people and help people enjoy themselves with you. It's as simple as that. Good manners, social graces, etiquette, call it what you will, are all based on consideration for others, being kind to the other fellow in the little things of life as well as the big things. Those who start to learn their manners early are fortunate youngsters. They may not think so at the time, but as they grow older, they realize that good manners can't be put on for special occasions only. And what better place to see yourself as others see you than in the school hall between classes? Good manners must be practiced as a part of everyday living until consideration for others becomes as much a part of you as your right arm or your 2 feet. If your manners aren't the everyday regular part of you, when special occasions do come up, you may be uncertain, not show up to advantage, and sometimes your lack of assurance results in the embarrassment of doing the wrong thing. The school cafeteria is another place to see yourself as others see you. Don't hold up the line with conversation pieces. Move as the line moves, because most school cafeterias serve a lot of people who are hungry at the same time. Know what to eat as well as how to eat. While each lunch has a variety to fit the taste of the individual, a good lunch follows the pattern of what is known as an A lunch, and includes about 1/3 of the protective foods you need during the day. It consists of at least 2 ounces of either lean meat, poultry, fish, cheese, or 1 egg, eaten as a main dish, or unbuttered bread as a sandwich, servings of 2 vegetables or fruit, and at least a 1/2 pint of whole milk. Milk is really the foundation of every good diet, and the favorite of smart young people at any time for real refreshment. Good food is best enjoyed in good company, and good company is based on good manners. This applies wherever you are, whether it be the school cafeteria, the hamburger palace, a simple meal at home, or more formal dining. The rules are simple and are based on your hostess's consideration for you. Put your napkin in your lap quietly. Fancy flourishes are disturbing to those around you. No need to be uneasy about a long line of silverware. The first piece you use is placed on the outside, making it easy for you to pick up without spoiling the place setting. Automatically, the next piece you use is on the outside, making it easy to be sure of using the right piece for each course as it is served. Soup is eaten quietly from the side of the spoon. Good manners are based on common sense and are easy to acquire if you follow the simple rules. Salads are on your left and are eaten with a fork. And remember, the salad fork will be on the outside. The knife and fork are tools you want to know how to use properly. Cut only a bite or 2 at a time. Your food will not only taste better if it is eaten in small bites, but you will look better too. And it gives you time to add your bit to the pleasant conversation which should be a part of every meal. Use your knife for cutting instead of tearing. And of course, the sword swallower in the circus is the only person who may have a knife anywhere near his mouth. At the table, you will look better if you sit up. relaxed but straight. No elbows on the table, please. Your butter spreader is never used for cutting bread or opening rolls or biscuits, which are broken apart by hand, but is used for spreading butter on bread or rolls a bite at a time. As you can see, the array of silverware is getting smaller as the dinner progresses. After use, silverware should be placed flat on the plate or service dish, not on the tablecloth where it might stain or leave a spot. Take on your spoon only what you can eat in one bite. If something you want is too far for you to reach easily, ask your companion to pass it to you. This reduces the chance of upsetting things which can be so embarrassing. And speaking of upsetting things, a spoon left standing in a cup is a trap for the unwary. That's why etiquette rules that a spoon is placed flat in the saucer after use. Manners are just as important at informal occasions. The popular host or hostess greets guests at the door and knows how to introduce them. A boy, always standing, is presented to a girl. Knowing the right way to introduce people puts everyone at ease and avoids embarrassment. Boys usually stand when introduced and always shake hands. Girls may if they choose. Then there is the matter of older people or people distinguished in their field. Both boys and girls stand for introductions to them and stay standing until they are seated or leave. These are simple things, considerate things that make sense and will help you build an attractive personality. You might as well begin young, on your earliest special occasions, to learn the rules that will help you through senior high, college, and the rest of your life. Girls follow the head waiter or hostess, and the boys follow the girls. When there is no head waiter, the boy goes ahead to secure a table and seat his young lady. When there is no usher, the same is true in churches, theaters, sports events, and other public places. Part of the fun of special occasions, of course, is trying new things. But in scanning the menu, young lady, keep in mind the possible state of your escort's pocketbook. This will avoid embarrassment now and in the years to come. At every age, it's still a man's world when it comes to giving the order. So you tell your escort and let him tell the waiter. As we said before, you might as well learn this in junior high and avoid embarrassment in the days ahead. It will probably continue to be a man's world when ordering for a long, long time. In spite of everything, accidents do happen. Apologize if in a home, offer to repair the damage, and then drop the subject. When dining out, the waiter will take care of it. Repairs to your makeup and hairdo should be made in the powder room, never at the table in public. Going places and doing things requires budgeting of time, and it is much more pleasant if you call on time and are ready when called for. If your parents do not know the man of the hour, then introductions are of course in order. A few pleasant words before setting out will put you both at ease and make things more gracious. After all, parents are people, and they have a genuine interest in you. One of the young lady's parents, or a mature family friend, should be present whenever she leaves on a date. And take good care of her, man. This means not only big things like driving safely and getting her home at the reasonable hour set, but also little things like opening doors and many other small courtesies that are a lady's due. The same principle and consideration for the young lady applies if you are going on the bus to the library or out on a very special occasion. Whether it be punch from a crystal bowl or hot dogs at a hayride, the gentleman is responsible for getting refreshments, and it is the young lady's responsibility to be gracious in all her actions, to help in keeping up conversation so that everyone is at ease. When she goes to the cloakroom, don't tarry with the stag line. Be nearby to escort her when she comes out. Carry your manners with you at all times. Make them part of you. They will help you over the hard places. And remember, whatever your goals in life, finding a good job, being a gracious host or hostess, or not being a wallflower at college parties, good manners will help you achieve them faster and more successfully. It was Emerson who said, Manners are the happy ways of doing things. And Emerson was right. Be natural. Be yourself. But see yourself as others see you.
Hi. Sorry about that. Wow, what a great film. And there's kind of this weird milk tie-in, which is kind of fascinating to me. And the reason why I pulled this film is because the next film I have lined up is made by the same company, the Social Science Films in St. Louis. And there's a milk tie-in here too. This is Cooperative and the Community, and it's about farming cooperatives. And there's some beautiful footage in here, really amazing. So here we go. Enjoy.
When you and I were very young, we learned that jobs which seemed impossible to do alone were not really so hard when several of us worked together. As we grew older, we learned more about teamwork on the playgrounds of our schools. We learned that the team is more powerful than any one of its members, that when we pull together for a common goal, we are more effective than if each of us tries it on his own. Working together voluntarily is one of the earmarks of American democracy. Our founding fathers worked together to clear the land and build their homes. Even today, farmers continue to work together in crews to harvest their crops and thresh their grain. People in communities work together cooperatively too. Our public schools are perhaps the most far-reaching cooperative service in America. Today, more than 26 million boys and girls go to school, most of them in well-built, well-staffed schools made possible by public tax support. In this high school classroom, these boys and girls learn about problems in community life. The subject for discussion is the American cooperative in the community and its place in our system of free enterprise. Let's listen in.
Suppose we start by naming a few of the community services that we maintain cooperatively. Fire protection,
Police protection,
public highways,
our daily mail service,
public playgrounds and swimming pools,
public hospitals and health service.
Those are all cooperatives, services to the community, supported by the community. There are many more, but what about another type of cooperative activity, say in the realm of business?
How about the Associated Grocers? They have a voluntary cooperative organization.
The clearinghouse is a cooperative service maintained by banks in the community.
The Associated Press is a form of cooperative, with facilities for seeing, collecting, reporting the news all over the world. It makes available to its member newspapers a news roundup that no single paper could maintain.
There are some 2,000 mutual insurance companies in the United States. Many of the biggest companies are cooperatives providing insurance coverage to their member patrons.
What about Blue Cross? It's a voluntary type of group hospitalization, a service cooperative used by about 1/3 of the people in the United States.
These and many more business cooperatives are based on the same idea that brings neighboring farmers together at threshing time. Three people who voluntarily join together to do something for themselves that no individual can do alone. That is the principle underlying all true cooperatives, whether they are marketing or purchasing, consumer or producer. How does the cooperative, as a way of doing business, compare with the private corporation? The purpose of the private corporation is to make a profit for the stockholders, and the profits are distributed in proportion to the amount of stock owned. In a cooperative, the purpose is service to the members. Any savings made are returned to the members in proportion to their patronage, not in proportion to the amount of stock owned. In a corporation, there is no limit to profits. In a cooperative, the dividend on stocks are limited. In a corporation, stockholders vote and maintain control in proportion to the amount of stock they own. In a cooperative, there is democratic control by the members. A visit to the annual meeting of any well-run cooperative shows how this democratic control works. We arrive just in time to enjoy lunch, prepared and served by the ladies of the organization. After lunch, members from the various districts go into session to nominate the directors they want to serve them. The directors are then elected in a democratic manner, and the elected directors hire a manager to run the business of the cooperative. The directors know that the success of their co-op depends on two factors: serving members more efficiently than they could serve themselves individually, and serving the public interest by passing on to the public the benefits in lower costs, better products, or better service. Farm cooperatives such as this were authorized under the Capper-Volstead law.
Is that the law that permits cooperatives to be exempt from income taxes?
No, the Capper-Volstead law has nothing to do with taxation. It permits agricultural group organization. Income tax exemptions for cooperatives are permitted only under certain conditions. These are: substantially all the stock and voting media are to be owned by members. 2, members do over 50% of the business of the co-op. 3, each member has 1 vote, or dividends on capital invested in the co-op cannot exceed 8%. 4, any savings in the business operations of the co-op are returned to the members in proportion to their use of its services or patronage. With these conditions, a cooperative may be exempt from income tax, but the cash refunds to the members are taxable as members' income. However, many of the co-ops have waived this tax exemption. Cooperatives vary widely in the type of services performed for their members, but they all fall into 3 general types. First, and most important from the standpoint of number of members and volume, is the farmer's marketing cooperative. The individual farmer producing food on his family-owned farm, like any small businessman, usually operates his business on a small scale. Because he is a small operator, he is at a disadvantage when he goes to town to sell the produce from his farm to the large and complicated markets. As early as 1820, we read of groups of farmers setting up marketing co-ops to gain for themselves advantages of marketing which no one farmer could obtain as an individual. Today, this bargaining type of marketing co-op is still important. Even though it usually has no factory or warehouse, it performs a service by bargaining with the strength of all its members through its elected representatives, instead of each member trying to bargain alone. Another type of marketing co-op, besides actually bargaining for the sale of produce, performs additional services for its members. It collects the produce from the individual farmer, brings it to the cooperative plant, where the member is assured of accurate grades and weights. Built with the farmer's own money, the plant is equipped to process the farmer's milk and distribute it daily as fluid milk. If the market does not need all the milk as fresh milk, the plant is equipped to manufacture evaporated or condensed milk, butter, cheese, or dried milk to meet the needs of the consumer, which is, of course, the farmer's market. A good progressive cooperative offers an incentive to members for improving quality and developing new products. It arranges educational programs by specialists from the extension departments of state universities. Here's the specialist in action, teaching these future farmers how to select and grow better dairy cattle. Better breeding methods also increase milk production. Dairy farmers in one cooperative have set up this artificial insemination farm, which makes available to the members some of the highest producing bloodlines in America. These sires, like royalty to the dairy breeder, would be too expensive for most individual farmers to own. But through their cooperative, they are able to maintain this breeding service, increasing production for themselves and promoting efficiency in the dairy industry. Farmer cooperatives cover many other services and products too. By joining together voluntarily, farmers built this modern poultry plant. This plant brings to the member farmer the advantages of volume processing, saving for him a better share of the consumer dollar without costing the consumer any more. Thus, the well-managed cooperative works in both the members and the public interest, providing a stable year-round market. The same is true of eggs, gathered at the height of the laying season, now on their way to processing by freezing, canning, or drying in this cooperative plant. Dependable year-round supply makes it a good deal for the consumer as well as the co-op member. Another type of cooperative serves its members by maintaining marketing facilities in a terminal market. Here, producers sell their livestock through their own commission company. The members receive the best price obtainable on the market for the day, and at the end of the year, any savings made by cooperative selling is returned to each member as a patronage refund. That, you remember, is one of the chief differences between a corporation and a cooperative. Members of a cooperative share in the savings in proportion to their patronage, not in proportion to the amount of stock owned. In addition to the farm marketing cooperatives, there are purchasing co-ops where consumers voluntarily join together to get the goods and services they want. Then there is the service type of cooperative, such as the mutual insurance companies, the Blue Cross, credit unions, and others that we discussed previously.
What is the future of the farm marketing cooperative? It is a well-established American way of doing business, and the trend is increasing. It covers fruits, nuts, fresh vegetables, wool, milk, cheese, other dairy products, cotton, tobacco, oil, gas, poultry, and many other farm products. Today, about 1/3 of all American farmers sell their produce through marketing co-ops, and it extends from border to border. The farm cooperative brings to the individual farmer a better standard of living for his family. When the farm family is able to buy its share of America's abundance, the city family knows prosperity too. It is through a better understanding of this interdependence that we can build a better, a stronger, and more abundant America of the future.
So this is an interesting film, and it's bringing up a lot of interesting comments about Marxism and communism. And I think this film was really trying to come up with examples of how democracy can have co-ops with different things. So you have a cooperative of news gathering organizations, you have a cooperative of farmers, you have a cooperative of, et cetera. And, the idea is that they're teaming together so that they have a consistent message. They also can set consistent pricing. There's good parts to that and there's bad parts to that. And certainly many of these co-ops no longer exist because of corporations basically buying up or making these deals and just, so that they don't have the bargaining power. So it's an interesting historical look at things. And I would say that there's far less co-ops now than there were. Yeah, it's a little boring, but it's also, I think it's fascinating to kind of look at and learn. This last film is, I want you guys to think about this. This is looking at the future of women in different cultures and the parts of the world, and how they are gaining, besides getting equal rights, but the opportunities open to women. And this is brought to us by Pepsi. It's a sponsored film by Pepsi. So you'll see lots of Pepsi shots amongst talking to women from different cultures. And it's a really fascinating film. I have a couple of films sponsored by Pepsi, and they deal with social issues. One of them deals with racism, and this one is just really kind of fascinating. So this is Women of the World.
Morocco is a country of contrast. Geographically, it's a country of contrast. Our dresses is full of contrasts. Our buildings, the interior of our houses, our life, every minute in our life has a contrast to it. It's a country that has everything in it. The spearhead of the modern movement is Mohammed V. He gave the princess Lalaisha a very modern culture and education. And for the women, it started with the movement of the princess. She helped them understand that this appearances, this development is necessary for the development of the country itself. I think women all over the world are about the same, because even here in Morocco, women dress for other women too, and to see which one has the latest dress from Paris or the best kaftan from Fez or from Casablanca. Moroccan girls and boys really don't date. They go out as friends in groups. Tête-à-tête isn't very common in Morocco. The University of Fez is a very old university. Qarawiyyin is 900 years old, and I believe that it's the oldest university in the world. Most of the topics taught there are philosophy and liberal arts and commerce. I do my shopping myself, and that's a new thing in the life of a Moroccan woman. It's very recent. It's after independence that we have started doing our market ourselves and our shopping, all shopping. Well, the veil before women didn't go out, and they were kept more or less in the house, and they didn't see men. So the veil was to isolate them, even when they go out in the street, so nobody would see their face. They weren't recognized. Well, we don't cover our faces anymore.
In the contest for Ideal Woman of Yugoslavia, I won the title, and then competed with women from all over Europe and became the champion of Europe. We have a son, Lubomir, 14, and a daughter, Dubravka, 11. My husband is an engineer. My greatest hobbies are painting and cooking. I like the strong, vivid colors of fruits and vegetables. My greatest pleasure is cooking. I'm editing a book called Jela na mom stolu, Dishes on My Table. I tend to find something new or to impress my family and friends. I like to serve a good dish. like to spend weekends with my family. Our family life is very happy. Though I'm working in the office and carrying the work in the house, I try to find some free time. I try to follow developments in culture. A woman should not permit herself to be left behind. Time is precious and it must be planned very carefully. In our family, we understand and help each other. I would like to help women all over the world. Women's solidarity knows no boundaries.
Well, I think a woman must work. Staying at home and keeping her home and everything is cooked, and it's not enough, I think, for a woman that has something in her. I think that she has to create something or work or do something and help other people to do things. In Spain, it's a new thing of many, many women are working now. Well, the big change is now from about 2 years to now. Every day is more and more, of course. I think that the mantillas is very, very long ago now. I don't even think we remember it in Spain anymore. Yes, I use suede and leather because it's a Spanish fabric, Spanish material, especially for that, but also because nobody was doing anything high fashion in suede and leather. I was born in Paris, but I'm in Spain since the age of 6. And I must say I'm Spanish now. And Mitsu is a nickname from Michelin. I don't think it even has anything to do, but it's my mother who gave it to me when I was born. Well, women in Spain now dress completely different than before. And it apparently changed a lot, I think. You can see all sorts of dresses and things in Spain now in the street. I think that nowadays people would wear the look that is most becoming to them. I mean, there's a lady that might buy one personal suit that she likes and she'll want it shorter. Another one will buy the same one longer just because she thinks it suits her better. I think that now the fashion is whatever, the short or long, whatever it may be on the customer. But the maxi anyway is out. I don't like maxi. Well, I think the teenager now in Spain, if you go to a university, what you would see is like all over the world. I mean, they wear with little tartan skirts and short skirts, dresses, anything. Well, first of all, I designed for what I want to create. But also, we have our 90% of customers are American. But this doesn't influence me, I think. I just do whatever I feel like.
When you visit the country, you may not realize until you visit the rural areas. It's where you can really see the women at work, because every morning you'll see in every home, every village, women leaving their homes with tools to go and till the land. Nation building in Kenya here, we understand it in this way, that people must participate in nation building by working very hard. After we had achieved our independence, we realized that we had a lot of work to work hard in the rural area, in the towns, and build our nation by improving what was not improved before. We have now gone very far, having so many nursery centers in this country. I understand very well the registered ones are 3,000 scattered all over the country. Most of the women now have come to understand that they should plan their family, and also some of them have accepted to have only a few children in a family other than having so many children whom they may not be able to take care of. With my vocational training, my great interest, as I mentioned before, was to come back and try to help women, men, young boys, young girls who are interested and also talented in this craft work. And I think by the time we will start this, it is the time that the tourists will be very pleased when they visit our country to see the authentic craft work made by Kenyans from Kenya. Before we achieved independence during colonial rule, the opportunity for education, women were left lagging behind. But this time, since we achieved independence, the government has ruled that opportunities in education is open for all people, women and men. As myself, I must say that I was very lucky indeed to have been given all these opportunities. I was one of the first ladies to join the first delegation from Kenya to United Nations. With the traditional dances in this country, I must say that is the saddest thing that we are forgetting about it. And the reason behind it, why it started dying, it is because people would come in, a missionary who would introduce the Bible, the Word of God, and they were against dances, they were against even wearing jewelry like myself. The Kenya government and everybody in our society in the rural areas trying to fight very hard to bring this back. When we get married, we always ask the man to pay dowry, and when you pay dowry, this means that you respect your wife, the one you're going to marry. As I hear in my family, I have 4 daughters. I happen to have very good 4 daughters, and you'll see them coming in. I suppose that everybody can see that Mrs. Habu and Mr. Habu are going to be very rich. When all these girls are married, I will have so many heads of cattle, a lot of money, maybe cars will be paid, maybe limousine from America, who knows?
The winters in Sweden are so long and severe, so naturally when the summer and sun does come back, we worship it. The Swedish woman works quite a lot. I think there are more Swedish women working than in any other country. And the problem is where to put the children during the day. So you find in every city a lot of so-called nurseries or day homes for children where you leave your child in the morning and pick it up after you finish your work in the afternoon. The child stays there the whole day and eats and sleeps. The parents do give their children quite a good sexual pieces of information in the sexual life. And from the first year when the child starts school, that is at the age of 7, the teacher, that's compulsory school for the teacher to give the children sexual lessons. And these lessons or lectures continue all through the years you spend at school. We get a lot of social aid from the government. We get old age pension. We get 3/4 back from a fee we pay for a doctor's visit. Large families or families who can't pay the rent themselves get social aid. The Swedish girls and the Swedish women are born to a certain kind of natural beauty because of their colors and I don't know, the long legs and all that. And also I think the Swedish girls know how to use makeup and how to dress. The Swedish housewife is not so spoiled as yet. It's not a rule to have deep freezer in each home. So we buy most of our vegetables fresh a couple of times a week from the Haymarket, and naturally all the fruit. The Swedish woman of today, I think she's functional, she's practical, she enjoys both being a career woman as well as a housewife, and I think she can manage both those things.
Everybody, you have a lot to live, and Pepsi has a lot to give. Fascinating. Really, it's an interesting film. It, kind of looks at women's roles expanding in the 70s. But the fact that Pepsi made it and that Pepsi puts product placement in every single country is really interesting. Are we to infer that it's because of Pepsi Cola that they have opened these opportunities for women, and have the culture is now permissive because of Pepsi Cola? It kind of reminds me of that Coke campaign about Coca-Cola being made available in Russia, in the Soviet Union, and then how Glasnost happened right after that. So it's fascinating, and it's all just carbonated sugar water, right? The other thing I really love is the fact that we have an ongoing slug bug or punch bug game going on YouTube's comments. That some people keep finding Volkswagen bugs and punching each other. So that's great. I love it. Thanks so much for joining us today. I didn't intend for the films to get so, I don't know, not socio-political. It was kind of the luck of the draw. But tomorrow we'll make it light and fun. If you like what you saw, please actually there's a like button, I think, on most of these things. So just like things, yes. Thank you so much for tuning in and commenting and spending your hour with me. That's very much appreciated. A way to keep me alive is to keep a constant flow of caffeine into my body, and you can do that by buying me coffee. Thank you, everybody that has done this so far. It's been really nice, and I've been drinking some good coffee, so thank you. Patreon is another way that you can donate cash, and it's kind of like a subscription tip jar. And then just go to avgeeks.com and watch other stuff, and tell your friends, share the links, and tell people what we want to do. It's all about getting eyeballs on this stuff, so you can sit and think about it, laugh at it, but then also think like, that's interesting. That's how we used to do things, or that's how we wanted to used to do things, and that's interesting that has changed. Or, boy, isn't it good that we don't do things like that anymore? There's a lot to be said for that. So, thanks again so much, and I will see you again tomorrow. Also, in the evening tomorrow, I'm going to be doing something with the Hunt Library, which is the academic library at NC State. I won't actually be there. I'll be hosting someone, and we're going to talk about tourism and vacation footage, and I'm going to show some vacation home movies that I've collected and I've also digitized for other folks, and we're going to talk about that phenomenon, home movies, vacation home movies. So hopefully I'll see you either tomorrow at lunch or at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tomorrow at the same place. Everybody have a good rest of the day, and we will talk soon. Take care.